Normal fueling procedures utilizing the 767 fueling station will now be demonstrated. Warning: Boeing's published safety procedures for the fueling of the 767-757 aircraft must be followed at all times for fueling operations. The fueling station is located under the left wing and is reached by opening two quick-release fasteners, allowing the forward hinged fueling station door to be opened. Inside are two fueling adapters, the fueling control panel, P28, an interphone jack, and two grounding lugs. Fueling procedures are placarded on the inside of the fueling station door. When the fueling station door is opened and latched, a dual-contact magnetic reed switch will provide 28 volts DC to the fueling station if the ground handling bus is powered. There is no bypass for this switch. The door must be latched open to provide fueling station power. If the ground handling bus is not powered, the power select switch may be placed in the battery position to obtain power directly from the hot battery bus. If ground power is available, the switch should remain in normal. Begin fueling procedures by plugging in the grounding jacks and coupling fueling nozzles to one or both fueling adapters as desired. Open the fueling nozzle valve. Next, push the red indicator test switch and verify that the load select indicators display 88.8 in both displays. The blue inboard and outboard fueling valve lamps should now be pushed to test the lamps. Manual fueling operation will now be demonstrated. The fueling panel is initialized in the manual mode when the fueling station door is opened. This is indicated by the lower display of the load select indicators being blank. If the lower display is not blank, it may be blanked by depressing and releasing the set button one time. Next, place the fueling valve toggle switches in the up position to activate the inboard and outboard fueling valves. This is indicated by the blue inboard and outboard lamps illuminating. Fueling pressure must be available on the fueling manifold to open the valves. The fuel quantity displays will now begin incrementing as fuel is loaded. A fueling system verification test should now be performed to verify proper operational status of the fueling valves, the fueling valve relays, the fueling valve drivers in the processor unit, and the FQIS components located on the fueling station control panel. To perform this test, push System Test for a minimum of 1 second. Observe that the blue fueling valve open lamps extinguish in a random pattern and return to normal in approximately 15 seconds. Fueling now continues normally. Now test the surge tank backup to the FQIS for termination of fueling by closing fueling valves to all but one tank to prevent surge damage. Now depress the overfill test button. Observe that all remaining fuel valve lamps extinguish simultaneously. Pushing overfill reset will reset the system and allow fueling to continue. Most overfill system failures may be bypassed by holding the reset button on during fueling. The FQIS processor will now automatically close the fueling valves when tank capacity is reached, or the operator may halt fueling when the desired quantity is reached by returning the fuel valve toggle switches to the down position. To select automatic mode fueling, dial the desired fuel quantity on the load select control and push the set button below the appropriate indicator. This transfers the load select control value to the lower display of the load select indicator. Repeat this procedure to select the desired value for the remaining tanks. The fuel quantity values may be selected in any sequence. Next, place the fueling valve toggle switches to the up position. Both inboard and outboard fueling lamps should illuminate, indicating that the selected tanks are now accepting fuel. The system verification and overfill tests should now be performed just as in the manual operation previously described. When the actual fuel weight approaches the load select value, the processor will close the fueling valves. The fueling valve lamps will now extinguish. When fueling is complete, return the fueling valve switches to the down position and the power select to normal. The fueling panel switches will be mechanically returned to the appropriate position when the door is closed, should they be inadvertently left in the wrong position. Disconnect the fueling nozzles and ground jacks from the fueling adapters. Close the fueling panel doors securely. This completes the fueling procedures. This presentation is intended to familiarize the viewer with the operation and testing of Honeywell's FQIS system. You must refer to those manuals provided by Boeing at all times. Honeywell Boeing disclaim all warranties, liabilities, and obligations of any kind whatever with respect to the data contained herein.